Okay, well, again, welcome everybody and good evening to another Tuesday, um, one of our live trainings. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, what are we going to do if I can get my thing working? There we go. So, first off, today's Tuesday. So, on Tuesdays, just so you know, we try always to do a new personal development tool. I don't always succeed. Sometimes we just do a training, but I like to try to do a personal development tool. Uh, Something that you can add to the toolbox. So when you're working with clients, when you're working with yourself primarily, you have something that you can go ahead and incorporate into the session, but primarily for working with clients. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to introduce um, a couple new tools. And the first one is you should have all received the link to the workbook, the one source. It's the workbook primarily that I've been using for doing different workshops. Now, I just want to make an announcement. I do apologize if I sent you the previous link. I think you may have gotten an unedited version, so I apologize for that. So if you go to www.onesourceworkbook.com, you'll get a more edited version. It doesn't have as many mistakes in the one that I originally sent you. So I apologize about that. But primarily, this is the workbook that we use when we do different workshops, and it's a great tool. I really suggest that you go ahead, you download it. Uh, there will be a full book coming out in the near future at some stage. I just need to actually add a few more chapters that I have outlined into it, and then get someone to edit it and go ahead and probably put it up on Amazon. But for the moment, it's a great tool. It's great for using with workshops. And again, I really encourage everyone to go to www.onesourceworkbook.com and download it. So you have it. It's available. Feel free to go ahead and use it as long as you don't edit it or change anything to it. I'm happy. You can share it with whoever you like. No problem at all. And obviously, if you want to go ahead and take any bits of it and put into your own material, I don't have any issue with that at all either. Just do me a favor, just drop me an email, let me know what you're going to do with it. But anyway, so as far as the workbook, it's called the Common Sense approach, and primarily the reason I call it a common sense approach is because that's what I like to do with everything. I like to keep everything very simplistic. I never like to overcomplicate anything, especially when it comes to different systems or trainings. I like to keep everything as easy to follow as possible, and I like to base everything on common sense. And when I talk about common sense, I'm talking about things like, well, first off, to me, a common sense approach when it comes to personal development is all about just having more good days than bad days. Hopefully, a lot more good days than bad days. But that's ultimately the goal here. Again, we're not trying to eliminate bad days completely. It would be great if we could, but I don't think that's very realistic. In life, things are always going to happen. You're going to be hit with different curveballs. Things are going to, hit you out of the blue, family problems, health problems, sometimes financial problems, whatever the case may be. But it's more how you're going to cope with those things when they throw it to you, and how to, well, turn one or two bad, stop one or two bad days, turn it into a bad week, or a bad week turning into a bad month, or a bad month turning into a bad year. Again, trying to have a lot more good days than we do bad days is the ultimate goal here. And that's what we're working. I always like to say, focus on the progress. It's not about perfection, and you've heard me say that many times, and I'm going to continue to say it because I believe it very strongly. It truly is. It's all about progress. That's all we're trying to do here, guys. And it's important that you remember that when you're working with clients. Don't push clients too hard to where they're going to run off, or they're going to feel as if that they're not producing satisfactory results. it doesn't matter. Everybody has bad days. I have them all the time. Well, not all the time. I shouldn't say it like that, but I have them enough anyway. Everybody has bad days, and that's okay. It's all about that progress, that daily consistent action that builds upon the previous day, that creates the long-term results. Small little progress is what this is all about. We're not chasing perfection. So that's what I mean when I talk about a common sense approach. So that's why I named the book a common sense approach to personal development. But what I want to focus on today is there's Zach joining us. Good man, Zach. Do me a favor if you don't mind, buddy. Just hit the microphone and your camera. Would be great. Yeah, maybe he's not listening yet. I can go ahead and there you go. Good man. I'm just gonna hide the video camera there. So again, what we're gonna do today is I have to imagine, I could be totally wrong, but I have to imagine the majority of yous are familiar with this book. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So what I want to do is first off, I just want to play a very short video. It's just about six minutes long, 6.5 minutes long. And it just gives an overview for those of you who aren't familiar. And it's a great refresher for those of you who are. But what I want to do then is I want to go ahead and I want to take it to the next level where primarily we kind of show where the one source system aligns with the 7 habits. Because what I like to do whenever I read a book, whenever I learn a new method, a new strategy, a new technique, system, whatever the case may be, I always like to see how it can be incorporated into what we're doing here, into our system. And I also like to see, I guess just for validation purposes, if something has stood the test of time, if something has proven to be successful and proven to work, what similarities does it have to what we're doing? If you see here, the 7 habits of highly effective people, very, very popular, very effective, over 25 million copies sold worldwide. It works. But again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the quick video, and then we're going to do some comparisons. We're going to show how things align up that are the 7 habits, how they're incorporated into what we're doing here. Again, to accomplish a couple things. I suppose to first off to validate it, so you can feel confident that the system works. 100% the system works. But also to give you a tool as well. So when you're working with your clients, instead of always talking about the system, you can refer to them to the book, and you can refer to some of the habits, and you can use it when you're doing your one-to-one consulting with the clients. But again, if you haven't read it, I would strongly encourage you to read it. But regardless, we're going to do a quick overview of it now, and then we're going to get into it a little bit deeper. So we're going to go ahead and I will play this. It's 6 minutes, 42 seconds. And then, like I say, we'll go ahead and we'll pick it up from there.
I remember my grandma's favorite story was about how everything cost 2 cents when she was young. But now everything constantly got more expensive. And it was all because of the government. These uneducated pigs didn't know how to control prices. And when I was privileged enough to hear the story, her complaining would last for hours and hours. And that's exactly what reactive people do. They always focus on the things that they cannot control. It's not possible that a concept like inflation would exist. And if it did, it's impossible that they wouldn't know about it. On the other hand, proactive people realize, look, even if my complaining were completely objective, it doesn't help me. So I'm going to focus on what I can control. If a proactive person owns a business where he sells a product, instead of focusing on how people these days don't appreciate good products anymore and how the government has horrible regulations, he focuses on how can I improve my product so my customers can't live without it. Do you realize how much responsibility, how much dedication, how much hard work comes along with asking that question? And what do you think our effort-minimizing brain is going to pick as default? And that is exactly why most people focus on the things that they cannot control rather than focusing on the things that they can. Habit number 1 is be proactive. Now, imagine you're at a funeral, but this one's different from all the funerals you've ever been to. You're standing over the casket and you see yourself. What do you have to say about yourself? This is one of the most powerful questions you could ask. Are you doing the things in your life which are aligned with what you want to be able to say? Do you want to say that you are a good spouse? If that's the case, how does coming home and instantly being negative towards your spouse affect that? Do you want to be remembered as a person who added value to society? If that's the case, are you doing the things that will allow you to say that, or are you scared of failure and choose comfortable mediocrity instead? Almost every one of us will have to readjust how we live when we ask this question. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. Now, if I were to ask you, what are the most important things to you? The most common answers I would get would be either your well-being or your relationships, your family, your spouse, your children. You would never ever say organizing papers or watching TV. But how many of us spend more time organizing papers and watching TV than planning our nutrition and going to the gym or cultivating a healthy family environment? There's a horrible disconnect between what we say and how we actually allocate our time. Habit number 3 is put first things first. Now, imagine you're an author and I'm an author, and we both write interesting books, and we both have access to an audience of about 100,000 people. I read your book and I love it, so I decide to share it with my audience, and as a result, you now have thousands of people buying your book and reading your ideas. You see this and think, who is this guy? Let me take a look at his book. You start reading my book and think I have ideas that are valuable, so you decide to share it with your audience. And as a result, I now have thousands of people buying my book and reading my ideas. Notice how different this is from my creating a little creepy Amazon account, finding your book and leaving a bad review, hoping that this will deter a few people from buying your book, which will in turn somehow get them to buy my book. Habit number 4 is think win-win. Stop thinking of everything as a zero-sum game. For you to win, another person does not have to lose. Something I want my viewers to do is to subscribe to my channel. But you will never hear me say, well, I worked really hard, guys. I dedicated so many hours to this. Please subscribe. Look, who cares if I worked hard? Who cares if I've spent days creating this video? The real questions are, does it offer value to you? And why should you dedicate your time to subscribing when you could be doing anything else that you want? Habit number 5 is something that I try to use every single day with every interaction that I have and with every comment that I reply to, and it is this: seek first to understand, then to be understood. Now, imagine there are 2 people and a tree with 5 apples on it. They're both too short to reach the apples, but if one of them sits on the other's shoulders, he can reach all 5 of the apples. This is called synergy. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Now, I'll be the first one to admit that you can't achieve this with everyone, but you should always be looking for opportunities to create synergy. With every synergistic opportunity you create, you can gather many more apples than you otherwise would by yourself. Habit number 6 is synergize. A man has been trying to cut down a tree for hours, and after a while his neighbor can't take it anymore, goes over and says, you know, if you sharpen the saw, you'll be able to cut it down faster. And the man replies, but sharpening the saw is going to take time. Now, we might laugh at this story, but we do the same thing all the time. We can't find 30 minutes a day, 4 times a week to go to the gym. Our health deteriorates to a point where we're physically incapable of being effective. We can't read a book for 15 minutes a day and mentally stimulate ourselves. No, these things take too much time. And then we have the audacity to ask for little tips and tricks on how to be effective. It's like telling your engineer, don't worry about the foundation. Where can we get the magic bricks that will float in the air? Habit number 7 is sharpen the saw. And these are the 7 habits of highly effective people by Stephen Covey.
Okay, guys, so 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of my all-time favorite books, and you could probably see why. Practical, simple, common sense approach to personal development. Everything in there it makes perfect sense. There are easy techniques to implement, but the problem is there's no real system for incorporating it into your lifestyle. It's great to give the rules. These are, be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win. All these things, those are great. But again, life gets in the way and we tend to get caught up with things. That's where our system comes in. If you look at primarily the one source system and the 7 habits, let's just take a deeper look, I suppose, the best thing to do, and to just see where all 7 of those habits are they incorporated into the system. Are you using them every single day if you're using the system? So let's start with the first one. Be proactive, don't be reactive. You've probably heard me say that many, many times. I say that when we talk about balance, the importance of how to go ahead and ensure that, you're proactive. Because if you're always in reaction mode, if any of those areas are out of balance, your life tends to put you in reactive mode. And you're always putting out fires instead of proactively doing the things that are going to move you in the direction that, of the change that you want to create, the life that you've designed for yourself. So, but how do we incorporate it? How do we go ahead and primarily be proactive? Well, I like to think with the system. If you think about focus, what do? Each and every day, we focus on those key areas. We focus proactively, make a conscious decision to direct our focus, pay attention, become very aware to how balanced we are, the activities we're doing in our relationships, our health, growth, and finances. We're being proactive. And by doing that, this eliminates living in reaction mode. When you can go ahead and do that on a consistent basis within the system, and you can go ahead and you can ensure that you achieve a minimum standard of balance in each of those key areas, you're going to find out that you get into a state of flow. Things go much easier for you. Things just tend to flow right for you. You're not always putting out fires anymore. You're not living in reaction. You're taking the time to proactively go ahead and design your life and do the activities that are going to help you to create that life that you really want for yourself. So that's how I believe the first of the 7 are incorporated into our system. In many other ways as well, but that's a good example right there. Just through the power of focus and balance as well, you're being very, very proactive. So what about habit number 2? Begin with the end in mind. And I got to say that's a really good technique that they talk about as far as the funeral. And just when he says, what do I have to say about myself? So if you were attending your own funeral, what would you say about yourself? Were you a good, mother, father? Were you a good friend? Were you a good, sibling? Were you a good neighbor? But what are the types of things? So that's a great way to identify in those key areas as far as what it is you really want to achieve. So again, similar when we were doing our purpose, when we were creating our purpose statement, how you go ahead and you identify different qualities, different traits um, that you want to incorporate into your life. Well, that's another way of doing it. What do I, to imagine yourself at the funeral and, what would you want to say about yourself? Or better yet, what would you like others to say about you? But so how do we ensure though that we begin with the end in mind, which is number two? Well, we goals for one. We all have we do goal setting on a regular basis. I'm hoping everybody went ahead and they set some goals for themselves after last week's session when we talked about accountability and we talked about the importance of goals and a fresh new month starting out for June. But goals is one way that we start with the end in mind. But if you remember, you would have heard me talk about this several times, bridging the gap. Bridging the gap as far as when we work with clients, what do we do? Well, first we go ahead and we identify that baseline. We go ahead and we make sure that we know this is where they are right now. Because we work with them for a little while, we get some good data, some personal data from them. We incorporate it into the dashboard. We can identify their strengths and their weaknesses, and we can identify where they truly are in each of those key areas, their baseline. But then we go ahead and we ask them, where do they want to be in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever the case may be, a year. But then we make sure that those activities align with where they are now to where they want to be. Where they want to be is starting with the end in mind. That's exactly what we're doing. We have a system in place for it. Like I say, the book is fantastic. Everything in there I fully support 1000%. It's one of my favorite books. But again, I'm a systems guy. I like a system so I can do things without even really thinking it through because again, life gets in the way. But that's incorporated in the system. If you're following the steps of the system when you're working with yourself and when you're working with your clients, you are starting with the end in mind. You're doing that step. It's incorporated into the system. And again, just through goals and bridging the gap. But even if you really want to get into it, look at your purpose statement. What is it? What do you do in a purpose statement? Well, you're identifying in advance how you want to live each and every day. I want to live my life today to the best of my ability as whatever those qualities and traits that you have in court. But you're planning the end of the day. You're starting with the end in mind in advance. So again, you're incorporating it, but you also got your month goals, your long-term goals, your mid-range goals, all incorporated into the system. So again, I think it's well covered. Number three, put first things first. Do we do that? Do we incorporate putting first things first into the system? Well, I think you all know the answer, but we do. Of course we do. We put first things first as far as with our focus. Again, what are first things first? Well, relationships. I think those are, and everybody's going to agree that those are always going to be included when you talk about first things first. But again, your health, your finances, your growth, everything that we control and direct our focus to, that's putting first things first. So again, it's exactly as he says in the book, but it's incorporated into our system. You don't have to think about putting first things first. It's incorporated into your system. So again, that should basically give you, I suppose it should validate again that the system does work, and that's what we're trying to do. And just for the record, that's what you want to be doing with your clients. when you work with the clients, you want to make sure that you're working with them in such a manner that you're constantly you're constantly giving them some form of validation or belief that our system works, but not false validation or not false beliefs. You've got enough proof, and part of the proof should be your lead by example. But again, you have enough validation, enough, I guess, supporting documentation, evidence to show them that our system works. Again, just like we did with Tony Robbins and neuroassociative conditioning, when we talk about the 6 basic needs and all the other things that we incorporate. This is a great one, the 7 habits. So think win-win. Okay, that was a really good example. Because again, that's something that they try to teach you well, I try to teach anyway with the people when I work with business in business. But when we talk about win-win, if you remember, you would have heard me talk about this before as well. Zig Ziglar, one of my favorites. Again, showing my age every time I talk about all these old guys. But Zig Ziglar is somebody I've been listening to. And I still listen to a lot of his stuff, even though, again, I'm showing my age when I do it. Probably some of you out there probably don't even know who Zig Ziglar is, but he was one of the greats. But he had a saying, and I've said it to you before, and I truly do believe it. As a matter of fact, it's what this business model is built on. And the saying is just primarily, you can have whatever you want in life if you help enough others get what they want. And that's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing with our network. That's what we're doing with the opportunity. That's what we're doing with our system. By helping enough people get exactly what they want, you'll always get what you want. But again, what is that? Well, that's thinking win-win. They win, we win. So, but again, another way that I like to think that it's incorporated into the system is just a basic understanding, the common sense approach. By helping others, we help ourselves. And that's true. If you think about it, you're helping people. When you're working with clients, what are you doing? Talk about a win-win. You're helping them to create lasting change. You're helping them to produce, and design the life that they ultimately want and they desire to live. But by talking to them, by holding them accountable, by teaching them the system, are you not helping yourself as well? You're not just reinforcing that information in your mind? Are you not programming and conditioning your subconscious mind for success by doing that over and over and over again? I can guarantee you, when you get to the point where you're working with enough people, 10, 12, 20 people, you're doing this every day, several times a day. You're just conditioning yourself over and over again. And you're helping each and every single one of those individuals as you help yourself. It's a win-win situation. So yeah, always think win-win. Our business, the business model, is based on a win-win situation. So again, incorporate it into the system. Number 5, seek first to understand, then be understood. So, pardon me, while I take a sip of my coffee. And by the way, Sean, yeah, you're right. I had another cup of coffee, so it's going to cost me quarter point today. But so seek first to understand, then be understood. Well, if you think about it, everybody right here, everybody right now listening, everybody involved in our organization, our training, we all started out the same. We all started out learning this system, using this system for a period of time before you can work with clients. It used to be at one stage, or not for you, some of you newer people, it used to be 6 months that you had to use the system before I would even allow you to start working with clients. Now we've reduced it to 3 months because we've modified the training and support systems through the online trainings and things like that, we're doing right now. So it's been reduced. But again, what is that exactly? Well, you're learning to understand. So before you can get others to understand you or to teach others, well, first you have to learn yourself. Again, it's incorporated into the business model, it's incorporated into the system. Each and every one of the consultants use the system. It's vital. It's key to success. It's the only way you're going to be credible enough that when you're talking to individuals, when you're, like I say, leading by example, well, they know that you're using the system. They can see it in you. And you have so much insight because, again, you understand it because you use it. So first, seek to understand. Then, and only then, are you in a position where you can start teaching others and try to be understood. Try to share your knowledge with others. But we learn by doing. And each and every one of us here have done it. So nobody starts out coming on board and, okay, take a weekend workshop. Okay, you're ready to go ahead. We're going to put you with clients. No, you work for a minimum at this stage, 90 days, and then it's very limited the contact that we allow you to have, and it's supervised and supported by the consultant or joint venture partner or myself that you're working with. So again, there's always plenty of support, but everybody starts out the same. You'll learn by doing. So, number 6, synergize. Well, again, synergy is primarily working in conjunction, primarily working in perfect harmony, I suppose. And it's similar to Napoleon Hill when he talks about the mastermind principle to a degree, where we all have you have a common objective that you work in perfect harmony to the achievement of, and that there's no conflict. But if you think about it, again, that's what we're doing here. We're working with individuals, just like I said about a win-win. Same thing with synergy. But as a network, our whole business network, our business model as far as the opportunity is all based around synergy. If you think about it, the thinking behind our network is, well, we're stronger together. We benefit, we all get more business and more opportunities to spread our knowledge and work with others and help people by working together. Because everything you do, if you do it in the proper format, has a positive effect on the others. Everything I do, when I work with clients, when I do adverts, when I do interviews, I do workshops, has a positive reflection on you. So again, we're working in perfect harmony. We support each other. It's a big part of what we're doing here in this network, is supporting each other. And I hope you get that. And I know you do. We get some really great people in this network that go above and beyond on a regular basis. So again, synergy. So again, incorporate it into the system. Yeah, we primarily have a business model When you succeed, we succeed. And I mean that sincerely. Without you guys succeeding, well, I'm definitely not going to succeed. The business organization is not going to succeed. The network is not going to succeed. If you don't succeed, the people you're supporting are not going to succeed. So again, we're all working together in perfect harmony. And when we do, we all benefit. So, and then the final one, habit number 7, sharpen the saw. I thought that was a really good example. I like that about cutting down the tree and sharpening the saw. So I don't know if you've ever tried to cut something with a blunt instrument, saw or axe. It takes usually about 4 or 5 times as long and doesn't do nearly as good a job. Just take the time to sharpen the saw. But it's a good analogy. But how do we sharpen the saw? How do we keep sharp? How do we go ahead and ensure that we're always in peak state? Well, we're doing it with our daily activities. If you think about it, our system is not designed to every once in a while attend a training, do a workshop, review your data. No, it's primarily, it's all based on daily consistent action. Each and every day, you're taking action, and that's what's going to produce the result. And the results, that's just basically sharpening your saw. You're getting more confident. You're getting more skilled. You're getting more effective as consultants. Making changes in your own life. Like I can tell you right now, the people I know that have improved their health, relationships, their finances while learning this system. But again, it's all comes down to that daily consistent action. And that's sharpening the saw. Sharpening the saw is taking time each and every day to do what needs to be done, to make sure. But once you have that baseline, once you have everything at a certain level, a standard, well, then it gets very easy. And it doesn't take nearly the amount of effort. And that's when your saw is sharp, I suppose. But again, daily consistent action. It's how we sharpen our saws, keep our tools sharp, and coming to these trainings and supporting each other. But again, incorporated into the system. So that's the 7 habits. But again, I really encourage you to go ahead and if you get the opportunity, read the book, get the audio book. But if not, just study. There's so much material online that you can go ahead and you can download and you can study. And that's going to be very relevant. But again, it's all incorporated into the system. So hopefully that gave you some type of validation as far as our system. So before we wrap it up, I want to talk about the upcoming workshop. As you all know, we all have a workshop. We have a free workshop coming up this Saturday. This Saturday, I'm hoping that the majority, if not all of you, are going to attend. Again, you're not obligated to, but it's in your best interest. I just want to make sure everybody understands the workshop is primarily an opportunity for you, a massive opportunity, because you're all on your way to becoming joint venture partners. Joint venture partners, when you're at that level, is when you can start working with conducting workshops either with me, with others, or on your own. You can design your own workshops. But this gives you an opportunity. That's the whole reason I'm doing this free workshop, is to support you guys. And obviously I'm delighted, I'm happy, thrilled to have the opportunity to do it. But I would really encourage you to come to the workshop. Just so you know, like I say, when I say the workshop is for you guys, there's a reason I'm doing it in this format. I'm doing it in this format so primarily we can record it. We can, because right now when I do workshops, obviously I'm not going to record them if I'm doing them for different businesses or paying customers. I'm not going to go ahead and record them and then go ahead and share that because of data protection and things like that. Plus, too, I just want to feel comfortable asking someone to pay something and saying, okay, by the way, I'm going to record this so I can use it. But again, this gives us the opportunity because we're doing it for free, and it's going to be the majority of the consultants who are going to be attending to record the sessions. But it's a great opportunity for you guys to see it firsthand, but also to invite people. I'm not going to be doing these all the time. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of the only free ones I'm ever going to do because I normally charge for exactly, it's a day's work. Usually for a session like this, I charge 95 euros per person. So I would strongly encourage you, friends, family members, whatever the case may be, associates, anybody you think can benefit from it, encourage them to come to it. You can, again, I clipped this posting. This is an advert that was on our Facebook page. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with our Facebook page or not, but you should check it out. I got to admit, I'm not great on social media. Caroline, she's here in Ireland. She actually looks after it. But she posted it up. But she's doing posts on different groups and whatnot that she belongs to as well. But I would really encourage you guys to go ahead and I'd appreciate it if you went ahead and you posted it up. I know some of you have, and I'm grateful for it. You've posted either on Facebook or on different social media, including LinkedIn or what Snapchat or whatever the case. I don't know. I don't even do much social media, as you can tell, but I am pretty active on LinkedIn. But other than that, but you can go ahead and people can register or you can post it on your Facebook page. It's just www.onesourceworkshop.com. And again, I would really encourage you guys to do it because this is for you guys. Really, it's a good opportunity. Unless you don't have anybody you want to share it with, and that's fine too. You're not obligated to. I still want you to come. Don't feel like if you don't share what get anybody to come, you're going to be looked down on or anything. It's nothing like that at all. But I just think it's a good opportunity because again, it's if you do get people who are interested that you think it can benefit, it's free. And again, we're not going to be doing them too often, if ever again. So I would really encourage you to go ahead and share it and share it with confidence too, because it is a good workshop, and they will basically get a lot out of it. Just so you know, an overall of what it's going to entail, it's a condensed version of your 30 days. The 30 days that you go through where you learn about focus, balance, purpose, neuroassociative conditioning. We incorporated it all into a single day, but it's a very hands-on approach. So by time that person comes, when they get there, they're going to learn all about the system, but we're going to help them to design their own system. They're going to understand exactly how to go ahead and use the points, how everything works. They're going to create their own purpose statement. We're going to help them. We're not just going to listen to me talk about it. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do a hands-on approach, working with them, answering questions, working with them and supporting them that they can walk out of there with a proper purpose statement and have a basic understanding of neuroassociative conditioning. So when they walk out of there at the end of the day, they're going to understand exactly. They're not going to take 30 days the way it was incorporated with you guys and how we typically do it. With a workshop, we get it done in a day, and it's very effective and it's very powerful. So again, I would really encourage you guys to do it. And just so you know, if you go to www.onesourceworkshop.com, primarily this is what you're going to see. You're not going to see that. That's just my browser. But primarily, if somebody types in onesourceworkshop.com, and press enter. It takes them to the page. This is the registration page. And again, it's just a quick click funnel, but it gives a a quick automated video where it just gives an overview as far as exactly what it's going to entail. It's a personal development workshop. It's a 1 day only. It gives the date um, and the times. And then it talks, it obviously lets them know it's free. What they get the free workbook, they get the dashboard and tracking, they get the 30 days follow up support by email and WhatsApp. Um, Obviously, says who it's from. It's from us, the Personal Development Network, One Source. Yay! And then they can go ahead and they could register. Okay. And again, I mentioned the workbook as well. So, and then primarily, just to scroll down, what they get again, just this is what they see. It gives an overview there. If they don't want to watch the video, it tells what it is. They can enter in their details. When they enter in their details, it goes to this page here. Uh, I spent a lot of money for that model, so she didn't come cheap. But again, it just gives the opportunity that they get an idea of what they're going to get, and what then they go ahead to get added to the list. And obviously, what we're going to do is we're gonna make sure that they get their workbook, and we're going to keep them informed, and we're going to get them the invitation so they know exactly, what's going to be expected, and what they're going to receive. So that's it. So I would really appreciate if you could put it up on your social media, Instagram, whatever you got that you can put it up on, LinkedIn. Tell your friends, tell your family, get as many people there as you can. It's going to be a good event. But the main thing is, guys, come to it yourselves, because you're going to want to experience a workshop. Because again, when you get to the point of joint venture partner, you want to go ahead and you want to make good money doing it. There's good money doing one-to-ones. There's good money in recruiting for joint venture partners. That's all great, but that takes time. And if you're not in a hurry, that's wonderful. But if you want to leverage your time and you want to build it faster and you want to get cash flow coming in, you're going to have to learn how to do workshops. And when I say learn how to do workshops, it doesn't mean you have to do them yourself. You can partner up with somebody, you can partner up with me, you can partner up with somebody else. But the real money is when you do them yourself, because then, you go ahead and you charge, like, for a 3 day workshop, 250 euros. You get, 20 people in a room. Yeah, it's good profit, very good profit. So again, we'll go ahead and wrap it up with that, guys. The only thing I want to say as well, for those, there's some of you I know that are going to be speaking at the workshop. If you could, if we've already been in communication, if you could just do me a favor, get me, if I don't have it already, just give me a short bio on yourself. Nothing major. All of that's just for the introduction. Obviously, your name, your background, what you do besides, being a consultant. If you're an NLP practitioner, if you're a life coach, if you're a psychotherapist, if whatever the case may be, just go ahead and get that information to me so I know when I do the introduction, and we can go ahead and have it slotted in with the slide. And keep it simple, guys. When you're doing the talks, it's not a big presentation or anything. Keep it to about 10 minutes max, if you could. And again, just who you are primarily, a little bit about your background. Don't talk about the opportunity because they're not there for that. But talk about primarily what you like about with the system, and how you've incorporated it into your own life. And I don't want to say testimonial, but to a degree, but be genuine. Don't say anything that's not 100% accurate, but try to focus on the positives as far as what you've got, the benefits you've gotten, and what you like about it. Because the way it's going to be incorporated is you're going to be the individuals who are going to be you're going to be the team members that are supporting the individuals. So that's how we're going to do the introduction. So if you have any questions on it, get it to me. But again, if you could just let me know in advance. And if I don't have your photo, if you can give me a photo so I can put that up as well, be greatly appreciated. So other than that, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. As always, greatly appreciated. I'll be around for, actually got to jump on another call here in a few minutes, but that's okay. If you have any questions or anything else, feel free to go ahead and drop me a message. And we'll, I suppose, just leave it at that. All right. Okay, guys, have a good one. We'll see you all soon. Thanks again. Always appreciate it.